On today's show, the LA Clippers break the three-game losing streak behind a roller coaster game from James Harden. And how about Kawhi Leonard's return? Going to be talking about that and more on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. Been covering the Clippers for 5 years on my NBA and LA-centric YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, and Locked On Clippers for 3 years. You can subscribe to both channels on YouTube and listen to Locked On Clippers wherever you get your podcasts. And you can read the Locked On Clippers daily newsletter written by yours truly at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com to sign up for the free Clippers Locked On Clippers newsletter. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the roller coaster performance of James Harden that resulted in a game-sealing step-back three, the Kawhi Leonard return after missing 2 games with a foot injury, and the bench mob, who in my opinion were the most impressive part of the game and probably the biggest positive to take going forward. So let's talk about the game in which we won 122-117 over the Chicago Bulls. It was not pretty. Honestly, against a team that's starting, no disrespect, Josh Giddey, Zach Collins, Matas Buzelis, Lonzo, and Kobe White, and traded away Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, probably finally trying to embrace the tank, we should be beating quite handedly. We got Kawhi Leonard back. That was a great sign. Still no Norman Powell out with that left patella tendinopathy. And I thought it was interesting with Kawhi. I don't think we really fully integrated him right away to begin the game in terms of like really getting him going and frequently getting the ball. Honestly, the entire first half. And I was because I'm watching the game from that perspective, but I'll get into Kawhi a little bit more later. James Harden, my goodness, what an absolute roller coaster of a game for him. I don't even know what to say, but there were some really rough stretches in this one. In the first quarter, I thought he was playing entirely too ball dominant in the sense that, are we trying to get Kawhi going or not? He got a couple of shots, but we did not really play through Kawhi. And we have 25 games left. After this one, we have 24 games left to try to get this guy up to speed. James Harden was brought to the LA Clippers to be a third option. Now he's the second. He needs to let Kawhi work a little bit more. I thought that first quarter, he wasn't very good. I mean, he had some good and bad moments, and that's what this game was. A lot of good and bad moments, ultimately more good than bad that resulted in the victory. But our offense was just very stagnant. And then in the third quarter, he got on a heater. And by the way, in that first, I'm just going to finish talking about the first half when it comes to Harden and then get into the good stuff in the second half. But a lot of the things that I always criticize him for, the ball dominance, the just dribbling, not going anywhere, step back threes, trying to get fouls, not playing any defense, just standing in no man's land, either overhelping or losing sight of his man, was getting beat off the dribble. I mean, he was doing a lot of things wrong. Even his own fans, I was seeing on Twitter, were getting on him. It was, and he and Kawhi, quite frankly, when they would miss shots or turn the ball over, they would not even put an effort in getting back in the first half. Second half, I thought we were starting to play through Kawhi more, especially to begin the third quarter, and it led James Harden into getting some open shots in the flow of the offense. He had 2 straight right-wing threes and eventually just started hitting 3 after 3 and getting into a more natural rhythm. And when he is shooting that catch-and-shoot 3 with the quick trigger without hesitation, he is much better. And I think everybody can agree on that. So my biggest takeaway for James is that when he's shooting the catch and shoot 3 with that kind of no hesitation, then I think that benefits him a lot because, things come so difficult for him and he likes to play the difficult way. 10 eyes on you, top of the key, ISO, dribble, let me create. That's the way he plays. And it's nice to have Kawhi be able to set him up a little bit. Nice to have Ben Simmons, Bogdanovich be able to set him up a little bit. So huge third quarter by James. 20 points. And both teams were 8 for 11 in the third quarter. And then late in the game, James had a nice floater, but he also had an offensive foul and a miss late in the game. And then the big three. Step back from the right wing to put us up 120 to 114. And that was all she wrote. But what a crazy game for James. Like, just straight up, what a crazy game for him. Clippers win at 122 to 117. And mind you, Kawhi Leonard was on a minutes restriction in the sense that it was a close game and we just pulled him out of the game when he reached, I guess, 33 minutes. And James Harden had to put the cape on and hit the big shot after what was such an up and down game for him. I don't think it was a good defensive game for him at all. But he ended with 30 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 6 turnovers. But 5 of those turnovers were in the first half. And he shot 9 for 20 from the field and a fantastic 7 for 14 from 3. I'm actually going to look at his first half stats to give you guys a clearer picture. 3 points, 4 assists, 5 turnovers on 1 for 5 shooting in the first half. In the second half, 27 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, just 1 turnover on 8 for 15 shooting and 6 for 10 from 3. So a total tale of 2 halves for James Harden. Now, here's what I will say. I think it really begun the run with getting Kawhi the ball and making him the focal point. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about the way we used Kawhi and how he looked tonight, because for me, he is the story of every game, but I had to begin with James Harden because his up and down, the up and down nature of the game for him and the big shot at the end. You got to talk about that shot. That was the big shot. Give James Harden a lot of credit. He's been our best player for me all season long, although Norman Powell is a fantastic case. We miss you, Norm. I hope you can return soon. But it was a good win, and it snaps the 3-game losing streak, and we needed that. Absolutely needed that. We're now 2-3 on the trip, and we have 2 games against the Lakers and then against the struggling Phoenix Suns. Of course, those Laker games are going to involve Luka Doncic, and we'll be definitely previewing them coming up later this week. But coming up, let's talk about Kawhi Leonard. I got to talk to you a little bit about Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from the first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, so the Clippers snapping the 3-game losing streak, 122 to 117 at the United Center. The house that Michael Jordan built, as many call it, the Madhouse on Madison. I still have not made my way over there yet, and I so desperately want to, but a big win for the boys that now once again sport the colors red, white, and blue like we should always be. We're 32 and 26 now through 58 games, 13 and 16 away from home, And it was game number 17 for Mr. Kawhi Leonard. So let's talk about it. 7 games he's played in the month of February, 10 games in the month of January. So overall, 17 games on the season. I thought, as I said in the beginning of the game, we did not look to play through Kawhi enough. This is still Kawhi Leonard's team. Let's not get it twisted. And I'm talking about James Harden. Let's not get, and I get it. James Harden has been that lead by example and that vocal leader guy. He has been our leader this season. He's been our best player this season. But fact of the matter is, Kawhi Leonard makes more money than him for a reason. He has been here the second longest after Big Zoo. It's his team. We only go as far as he takes us. So it's James Harden's job as the point guard to try to get him the ball. And I mean, in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure he shot 3 shots, but let me double check. Yep, 3 shots. He was 2 for 3. And look, I was paying very close attention. Is he going to come out soon? How's his foot going to look? 7.5 minutes. That's a pretty decent chunk for Kawhi. He should be getting more than 3 shots. And one of them, it was such a quick trigger because he hadn't touched the ball in a while. So, I don't know. I don't like that. So, I wrote in my notes, Kawhi is doing cardio, but has 5 points. Defensively, not much from him in that first quarter, but I thought it was a pretty good defensive game from him. He had some really good moments in the third quarter of collapsing and using his hands really well. But I also thought there were some moments where he just looked slow closing out and his reaction time was slow. And everything he's doing to me is slow. His dribble looks slow. His processing time and seeing the open man looks slow. He's still doing that thing that he's done even before he was a Clipper, which is just one of the flaws, the few flaws in Kawhi Leonard's game, which is he just doesn't pass sometimes to open guys, especially one pass away. I don't know if he doesn't trust his passing ability. I don't know if he doesn't trust his teammates, if he's just being selfish and saying, I don't want to pass to you. But he lags on passing on it and sees what he has. And then eventually, if he wants to pass, it's late. I don't know why he doesn't trust that ability. I don't know if he just isn't looking up and seeing what we're seeing. I don't think it's that because Kawhi's handle's good, and I think he's looking up. I think he genuinely just doesn't trust his passing ability and sometimes just doesn't want to pass genuinely. But it was frustrating. There are times where guys are open. I mentioned it the other game against Milwaukee where Amir Coffey was setting the screen and then rolling and he wasn't hitting him on the roll. There was one time, again, I think it might have been Amir or Nico, one of them, right? One pass away, wide open. He has the ability to make that pass. Didn't do it. So, and I think our entire team, besides the second unit, I'll talk about them in the third segment, but our entire team, and it really all stems from Kawhi and Harden, I can't lie. The ball just sticks. And it was the same with Kevin Porter Jr. That's probably why he's not here anymore. The ball just sticks. There's not very good ball movement on this team. There's just not. And Kawhi and Harden are slow in their process. And we saw a real big pace difference with that second unit. But as far as Kawhi, I thought he wasn't touching the ball enough in that first half. I tweeted that at halftime. Let's take a look at his first half stats. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 1 turnover on 3 for 6 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3 in 16 minutes. So he's on track at that range to play 32 minutes, which probably was going to be his number. That has been his number. It was 33. 6 shot attempts in the first half. Ivica Zubac has 7, but I'm not opposed to that. Derrick Jones Jr. has 6, but he was shooting really well and playing very well. I thought he had a great game tonight, both ends of the floor. James Harden didn't shoot more times than him, but the ball was in his hands so much. Amir Coffey shot as many times as him. So that's a problem for me. We're trying to get this guy right. He's got to be getting more shots than 6.5. And the coaching staff agreed with me because in the first 6 possessions of the third quarter, Kawhi Leonard touched the ball every time, and it led to good stuff every time. He was drawing 2, he was getting into his mid-range, and he forced a timeout early from the Chicago Bulls. Got James Harden a wide open 3. We have to play through Kawhi. There is no other alternative. And it might, again, and I said this weeks ago, Yeah, I said it. I'm pretty sure I said this even before he came back, or like right when he came back. It is going to hurt the short term at times, getting this guy back to speed. But it is the only way we have a chance to actually win a series, in my opinion, is getting the best version of this guy. I don't think this role player Kawhi, because here's the thing, even if his production is a role player, he is not a role player. He's not a role guy. He is Kawhi Leonard. He has the best, if you value championships, the best basketball resume of anybody on that coaching staff or on that, well, not solely championships, by the way, because then Brian Shaw would be the guy, but you know what I mean? The role he has played in championships, Kawhi Leonard has the best basketball acumen of anybody on that bench, Ty Lue included, because he had a bigger part in it, right? Yeah, a star player on a championship team is much more important than a coach. I will always admit that, even as a guy who coaches, always. Honestly, any player that's getting rotation minutes, in my opinion. But some people might disagree on that, honestly. I think a lot of people would disagree on that. I'm very pro players in basketball in terms of the blame pie. But with Kawhi, he is not, but my point being, he's not a role guy. He is there to be a star. That's why he's getting paid $50 million. You know what I'm saying? That's why we gave up the farm for Paul George, was to get Kawhi. It wasn't just Paul George. So it needs to go through him at the end of the day. And I thought we had some good process there. Both teams shot 8 for 11 in the third quarter from 3. And then, I thought there were some good and bad moments from Kawhi in the fourth. He hit some nice shots. He missed some tough shots. So as I mentioned, he wasn't moving the ball super quick. Had some good defensive moments. Had some moments where he was slow to get out to guys. It's a process for him. But in the second half, he had 9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block, and then was pulled out by the coaching staff. So with like 3 minutes left, which is, we still have Kawhi Leonard on minutes restrictions, game 58. We're just far from where we need to be, in my opinion, like point blank. Kawhi Leonard finished with 17 points, so he did not get the 4 straight games of 25 because, again, he got an injury, so to speak, or some kind of, a bruise or whatever it was, and now he's on a minutes restriction. Again, it's not linear progression, so I still stand by my thing. 4 straight games of 25 or more. And we can make an exception if it's like a point off. But it's just a rhythm thing for me. Kawhi has gone in no rhythm. I see everybody on my timeline responding to me saying, "Dime, Kawhi doesn't look good. Kawhi doesn't look good." How do we expect him to look good? He hasn't even played like 5 games without injury or something like that. Actually, it's just 5 games without injury and no minutes restriction, I should say. It's like, I don't know. We need him to get getting Kawhi to the playoffs healthy is only important if we're getting him to the playoffs healthy playing Kawhi Leonard basketball. Other than that, if he's playing role player basketball, averaging 16 points on like 46% shooting, no, we're not. I mean, it's like he might actually hurt the team more, honestly, because it's like we feel like we have another mouth to feed and we were an over 500 team without him. So, yeah, I think it was a pretty good Kawhi game. All things considered, I think it was a good Kawhi game. The plus minus doesn't back that up, though. He's a minus 11, but all the starters were in the minus because it was the bench that actually made a huge impact in this one. But not to say that the starters didn't have good games. I just thought Kawhi, he was good, but he's not looking great. And that's the main point. He's still not looking great. He's looking better. He's looking okay. It's just like we need these 2 games against the Lakers and the game against the Suns. It's going to be really telling, in my opinion, for Kawhi. Really telling. So it was enough to get the job done, but having this minutes restriction stuff, like he is our best player. He's supposed to be. So, 24 games left. We're going to be watching all of them very closely right here on Locked On Clippers. But coming up, going to talk about the main force, in my opinion, of why we won this game. Going to be talking about them coming up. I got to tell you a little something about DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. I've been ordering DoorDash like crazy since I've been displaced. It's been a lifesaver. And it's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Need a quick and easy lunch? With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, you now save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day. Up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right. Clippers winning this one 112 to 122 to 117. The guys that I thought made the biggest impact positively were the bench mob. Ben Simmons, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and the brewmaster Amir Coffey, and how about a little Nico Batum as well. Amir Coffey's been reading tweets, people. Everybody's going at his neck. He was fantastic tonight. From that first tough three he made from the right wing on that James Harden pass when they were loading up on him, he was finishing well in transition and playing with Ben Simmons and playing off Ben Simmons, that lefty duo off the bench. I think it's going to really benefit him because Amir is good in the open floor. You want to get him playing up and down. I think Ben Simmons wants to play at that kind of pace. He wants to get up and down. He's looking up for him. And his three ball was falling. And we've been critical of Amir Coffey and his three-point shooting on the road. Not only was he hitting shots like that, he hit a beautiful turnaround where he stopped on a dime. I mean, he was making big shots. That pull-up late in the shot clock on the left wing in the second half. What a fantastic performance from Amir. Also a great strip from the top of the key late in that fourth quarter. Really good performance from a guy who's had a good season, and just somehow, because Terrence Mann is gone, he is the new scapegoat, I guess, for some people on social media. But if you're not on social media, you probably would never know this, so it's not relevant. 20 points for the Brewmaster, our second leading scorer after James in this one. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal on 7 for 11 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 4 from the line. We shot really well in this game. 52% from the field, 51% from 3. I feel like, we've kind of had that coming. And 88% from the foul line, 15 for 17. The Bulls, 49% from the field, 45% from 3. But here's where they shot poorly. 54.5% from the free throw line, 6 for 11. So that was buns. Ben Simmons. So Ben Simmons and Amir Coffey were linking up really well. I thought the pace that Ben Simmons was playing at and the way the ball was zipping with him on the floor was a lot better than the starting unit because Ben doesn't have the same self-creation ability of a James Harden. Although he made 2 turnarounds today, 1 jump hook, 1 jumper that were very impressive. And I thought he made some great passes throughout the game, always looking up, always looking to push. Defensively, not as good as I would have expected, honestly, since he's been a Clipper. He stands up straight a lot on defense. He's not like in his stance. But I think he's been actually a real fun player for our offense. And I love the way he's pushing the ball. And because, as I said, he doesn't have that self-creation of James Harden, it forces him to move the ball and try to get creative with the offense, pass, screen, do something offensively. So loved what I saw there. He had 6 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 offensive rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, and just 1 turnover on 3 for 8 shooting. And he was a plus 15. And one thing I loved about Ben so far is he's been actually trying to go at dude's chest at times and trying to get aggressive, looking for a shot a bit more. So the Ben Simmons experience so far, I've been a big fan of it. And yeah, he was a plus. Let's see, his plus minus was really good in this game. Plus 15, the highest of any Clipper. How about Bogdan Bogdanovic? I was very critical of him in the last game. Bounced back, did not force shots, made his open ones, played some solid one-on-one defense, created some shots, 14 points, 6 assists off the bench, to go along with a block. Did turn the ball over 3 times, however, but shot super efficiently. 5 for 7 from the field and 4 of 5 from 3. A player like that's going to have some some really hot and cold nights. We hadn't seen really a hot night yet. Absolutely huge performance by Bogey playing off of Ben Simmons off that bench. So Amir, Coffey, Ben Simmons, and Bogey, they were really spectacular in my opinion. And then Nicholas Batum, 17 minutes, 0 points, and still affected the game positively with his length on defense. Whether it be he gets blown by and still recovers for a block, he contests and gets a block. I mean, this guy is just 17 minutes is better than 8, like I complained about last episode. A donut, but he had 2 rebounds, an assist, and 2 blocks, and 0 turnovers, and the only thing he did was miss 2 good looks at 3. We played Drew Eubanks for 4 minutes in the first half, and it felt like way longer than 4 minutes. I thought he did a decent job finishing around the basket. The rebounds, every time he got a rebound, it looked like he was going to slip out of his hands. But he had 4 points, 3 rebounds in 4 minutes on 2 for 2 shooting, 1 block, 1 turnover. But solid win in the end. Let's see if there was anything else I had. As far as matchups, Chris Dunn started the game on Kobe White. Ivica Zubac on Zach Collins. Kawhi Leonard on Lonzo Ball. Derrick Jones Jr. on Josh Giddey. James Harden on Matas Bucelis. Zoo was in drop coverage. A lot of late switching from us tonight, which means that when a player pulls it back out in the pick and roll, Zubac switches onto that ball handler. So, and we honestly were okay, but I thought when our switching 1 through 4, off-ball switching, the Bulls did a really good job of back cutting and catching us on that when we were trying to switch. And Trey Jones was actually causing Chris Dunn some issues. So credit to them, honestly, on that. But yeah. And by the way, there was some outlier shooting from the Bulls. Josh Giddey, 4 for 4 from 3. Like, how often does that happen? You know what I'm saying? Trey Jones, 16 points on 7 for 9 shooting. Zach Collins had a Wilt Chamberlain stat line, 21, 17, and 7. Like, what? So we've had some of these crazy outlier shooting games against us the last couple of weeks. But, you know, the fact that we were still able to get the win, I think that's the most important thing. So, yeah. Let's read some of the lines. By the way, the Bulls, part of the reason they got us into some trouble in that second quarter was they went to a zone, like a straight up 2-3, and then they'd go to a man, like a matchup zone. And what I would do if I'm the Clippers there, and they don't like doing this because it's not college basketball and they want to act all cool with their play calling and make it diverse. No, I mean, teams that don't put a guy in the middle of the high post of a zone in the NBA, it's the only level that they don't put a high post guy at the zone in the middle of a zone every possession. They will still try to run like pick and roll offense with the zone. And I'm not anti running pick and rolls entirely against zone, but can we at least first go with the basics of just moving the ball, placing a guy in the middle of the floor and trying to swing it? These guys are so allergic to passing the ball fast. Everybody needs to dribble. It's so annoying. And it's not the Clippers. It's a league-wide thing. But, trust me, I have to see it at youth level. It starts there. But Kawhi Leonard in the high post is ideal. And there were some possessions where we got him in there and he made the right read, where it's like he can turn and pass, he can turn and shoot. And then if they go to that man, because what they do is when someone gets the ball in the middle, then they'll go to a man. Well, we don't want Derrick Jones Jr. catching at the foul line, Ben Simmons catching at the foul line. We want Kawhi ISO at the foul line, get out of the way if that's what they go to if they go to man when he catches the ball in that middle of the zone. Because Zubac's in that zone, in the middle, it's a little far for him to shoot that push shot, but I wouldn't mind. He'd be my second choice, but I like the high-low potential with Kawhi. If a big is in the paint, he's going to have to step up on Kawhi if he's open in that high post, which leaves Zubac open in that dunker spot. But I know they kind of like Derrick Jones Jr. coming from that dunker spot. Could use Kawhi on the wing. I get it. But you need to have somebody in the middle of that zone. When you don't and your next resort is just playing like it's man-to-man, it's not going to end very well. By the way, I thought Chris Dunn made some good plays offensively as well. Some very solid plays offensively. Getting into the paint. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal for him on 1 for 4 shooting, 1 for 1 from 3. Ivica Zubac, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 1 turnover on 5 for 8 shooting, 0 for 2 from the foul line. I mean, we could get him this ball more than 8 times, but they were playing zone, so it's a little more random there. Derrick Jones Jr. played 23 minutes. I thought he was really good. His defense was good. His offense, attacking the basket, knocking down threes, everything you want to see from him. 16 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. I mean, his guarding chest to chest, contesting with a hand up. It's been so good all season long. Can't really say enough about him. 6 of 9 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 2 for 2 from the foul line. And yeah, we went 10 deep. Solid win in the end. My player of the game, honestly, I'm going to have to go with, I guess I'm going to have to go with Harden because he made that big shot. But for me, honestly, Amir Coffey. I'm going to go with Amir Coffey. 20 points, +9. I'm not big on the plus minus thing, but it just supports my argument in this one. I just thought he played the best for his standards. Or bogey. But I'm going to give Amir the edge because he had 20. But a good win. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. We'll be going live on Wednesday night to talk about the game even more. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Hit the notification bell, subscribe, so we get up to 7,000 subscribers before the season ends. That is my goal. And of course, the Locked On Clippers daily newsletter at lockedondaily.com. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.